Let us try to solve the third problem in Microsoft Access. And in this particular problem, we are supposed to create a database called as stock. And within that database, we are supposed to create a table called as inventory. Then we are supposed to fill the table with the given data. And finally, execute 3 queries. So let us start our work by creating a new database called as stock. I have my Microsoft Access ready with me. I'm going to go and click on the blank database over here, and the Microsoft Access is going to ask me for the name of the database, and as given in the question, we are supposed to create a database with the name stock. And I have typed that name because I have already given the demonstration. I already have this database in my documents, so it is going to ask me to override that particular database. I'm going to click yes. In your case, if you have done it for the first time, you will not receive this error message, but in any case, I'm going to click on create, and when I try to create it, I will get an access that it is already there, and I will say replace it. Okay, because I have already given the demonstration that database with that name already exists in my system. Then what they have said is we are supposed to create a table called as inventory. So let me create that thing. What I'm going to do over here is the Microsoft Access has already created a new table for me, a blank table. I'm going to just save this by either pressing Ctrl S or by clicking on the save icon over here. When I do that, it's going to ask me for the name of the table, and I'm going to type the name of the table as inventory. The minute I click OK, this table will be saved as inventory, but I'm in the fields over here, table tools fields, and I have the design over here. So I'm going to just click on the design view. You have two views here, datasheet view and design view. So I'm going to click on the design view, and then I am supposed to give the name of the fields followed by the data type. Let's look at what are the different data types that they have provided, like the different field names that they have provided, item code, item name, and so on and so forth. I have rewritten them in my Excel sheet over here. So I'm going to just copy them, and as told before, I'm not going to put the spaces in between the field names over here. So even though what is given is item space code, I will not do that thing. I'm going to just type it as item code. Then I'm going to make this as a number, because item code as given in the exercise is just a number. This is followed by the item name. So I'm going to create one more field name called as item name, which is a short text. So let's try to create one more field, and that is the opening stock. You notice that opening stock is nothing but the numbers. So I'm going to go and create one more field by clicking here and assuming that I have typed it. So this is opening stock, and I'm going to select the data type for this as number. This will be followed by one more field, and the name of that field is purchase. And you will notice again that this purchase is also the plain numbers over here. I'm going to go over here, and then I'm going to paste that particular thing. Assume that I've typed it, and then I have the data type set as number. Let's look at what are the other fields that we are supposed to create. The next field that we are supposed to create is sales. I will create the database, the field name sale here. Again, I will paste it, but you can type it. And this is also the number. This will be followed by one more column, that is closing stock. Again, you are free to give a space in between, but I am not doing it. Closing space stock, you can do it. There is nothing wrong in it. And a closing stock is actually a number, that is a difference between these columns. So I'm going to create the closing stock. Sorry about that. So this is the closing stock, and then this is a number. Let's look at the last field that we are supposed to create, and that is going to be the remark. I'm going to just paste that thing. And remark, if you look at the question there, remark has to be updated with the text, that is the short text. So I'm going to just take this as short text. That's all we need to create. So what I've created here is the different fields. Item code will be number, item name will be short text, opening balance will be number, purchase will be number, sales will be number, closing stock will be number, remark will be short text. With that done, I'm going to just click on save just to save it, and I'm going to switch over to the data sheet view. If it is not available, just click on the design over here. There is one more new tab will be added to you. Design, just click on view and you have the data sheet view, and you are supposed to type the values over here. I am going to import the values. I have now all the values that I have given by the university typed into this particular table. This is what the university has asked me to do it. So type all these values, and I have typed them. Let's look at the questions that we are supposed to solve, in particular, the query that we are supposed to solve. And the first query is that we are supposed to calculate the closing stock. The closing stock is nothing but it is an updation from the opening stock plus purchase minus sales. So we are supposed to update the values here. So this is equal to opening stock plus purchase. So add them, add these two things, and then subtract the sales and that value. So this plus this minus will be the closing stock. For all the others, you calculate the closing stock. So let's run a update query and update all the blank values in this particular place. So let's go ahead and let's do that thing. So I'm going to go and I'm going to create a new query. I will click on create and I'm going to click on design. So the query is created and I have only one table over here. I'm going to click on this one and click on add, and finally click on the close button. The query that I am supposed to create is not the select query. The query that I am supposed to create is the update query. So this is the query that we are supposed to use because we are going to update a field. So let's click on the update query. And which field are we supposed to update? According to their question, they want us to update the closing stock. So that is what they are asking. Calculate the closing stock. So the field that I am going to use is the closing stock. So I'll take the closing stock. And what is the value that we are supposed to update to? According to them, we are supposed to update them to the opening stock plus purchase minus sales. I'm going to do it. Now I'm going to click in the middle over here, this area, and I'm going to just drag it to the extreme side over here so that I have enough space to type all these things. So I will start with the name of the table, that is inventory. I'll just type I and press enter, and then inventory dot closing stock is opening stock plus again inventory dot purchase, so minus again inventory sales. Okay, this is what they have said. Opening stock plus purchase, so this plus purchase minus sale. So this is what they have said. Let's look at the question there. So opening stock, this is what they said, opening stock plus purchase minus sales. So this is what they have said, but here they have typed as sales, but in the question here that in the title that they have given it as sale. Okay, let's assume that that's a typo there. Now let me go to the Microsoft Access and let me run this query. I can click on the run to run this query. So I am updating this field, update to. So let me run it, and I'm going to get a message saying that I'm going to update 5 rows. I'm going to say yes. If I click on the inventory table over here, you will notice that the closing stock is now 100 plus 25 minus 35, that's going to be 90. And similarly 75 plus 40 minus 15 is 100, and so on and so forth. So I have the closing stock updated. Let me go and let me save this particular query by clicking on this save button and by clicking OK, and the query is saved. Let's look at the second query that we are supposed to execute. Second query is straightforward. Display all the items whose closing stock is less than 100. So let me create one more query. I'm going to go to the create tab over here, and I'm going to click on the design query, and I'm going to select the inventory table and click on add button here. Once the inventory table is added, I'm going to close this show table dialog box, and let's look at what is the query again. So query says display all the items, all means star, where the closing stock is less than something. So let's go ahead and let's do that thing. This is a straightforward thing. So display all means it is star. So display all means it is star, where condition is the closing stock must be less than 100. This is what they have said, and I don't want this closing stock to come as field 0. So I will say don't show this by removing this checkbox. Just click here and it will appear once, or if you click again disappears. So I will disappear it, so I don't want it to be shown. And let's look at the criteria one more time. So the closing stock is less than 100. This is what they have said. With that done, closing stock is less than 100. Let me execute this query, and what you notice over here is in this particular query, all the closing stock here are 90, 75, 95, which is less than 100, and the query is working. Let me click on this save button over here. I can as well click on Control S to save this one. So I will click on yes, and the name of the query is query 2 because they have not mentioned anything. Let's look at the last one. And what does the last one say? The last one says that if the closing stock is less than 100, then I have to update the remark. So there is one more field over here called as a remark. I'm supposed to update the remark statement with the reorder level. Otherwise, I have to mark it as enough stock. So either if the closing stock, let's look at this one, closing stock. Let me show the table for you. So if the closing stock over here is less than 100, then I have to say reorder level here. If it is 100, then I have to say enough stock, and so on. So if it is less than 100, it is reorder level, otherwise enough stock. So this is what we are supposed to do it in a query. So let's go ahead and let's create a query. I'm going to go to the create here, and I'm going to click on design, and I'm going to design a new query, and I'm going to add the new the table, which is only one table which is there. Click on close. Now I am supposed to update, if you look at here, I'm supposed to update this remark column over here. So I'm going to change the query type. So you have let me click on this design. It is not visible, so click on design, and I'm going to change the query type as update query, because we are going to update the query, that's it. So we are going to update this particular query, but there is one condition. What is that condition? Condition is if as far as their requirement, if the stock is less than 100, Then we are supposed to type reorder level. So let's go ahead and let's do that thing. So the field that we are supposed to update in this case is remarks. So let me take the field name as the remark over here. So this is a remark, and what is that we are supposed to update? Remember, there are two possibilities are there. Either you are supposed to update, so if the remark that you have it here, so if this remark is less than 100, then one possible option is you are supposed to say reorder level. Otherwise you are supposed to say enough stock. So there are two possibilities are there. Otherwise you say enough stock. Now I'm going to put a condition. So if so I'm going to say if this is less than 100 then I'm going to say reorder level. Otherwise that. Now, in Microsoft Excel or in C programming, you have used if for if. However, there is one small difference with this if. Here, we are supposed to say if. So remember that you have to type if, two times I, and or in other words if. So anything you take it. So it is if, not just if. So just remember that thing. I'm going to extend this uh, field over here so that I have enough space. So let's type it. So IIF, you notice that IIF, when the minute you type I, it's going to, Microsoft Access is going to tell you that this is IIF. So I'm going to just double click here, you can type it. So what is the expression? Expression is inventory, that's the table name, dot stock. So what is this stock? Remember we have I think what was the thing that we had here is the last thing that we updated. Let's look at the one that we have just updated. Let me go over here and let's look at what we have updated. We have updated the closing stock. So and they are saying that closing stock. So we have opening stock and closing stock. So let's look at let's come back to the formula that we are typing. If dot closing stock, okay, if the closing stock is less than 100, then I'm going to put a comma here. Look at that, I put the comma, then I'm going to open a single quote and I'm going to type reorder level. So if the stock is less than 100, so this is what, if the closing stock is less than 100, reorder level. Otherwise, again put a comma, and otherwise what is that we are supposed to do it. Otherwise, according to them, we are supposed to say enough stock. So otherwise we are supposed to say enough stock, and let me paste that enough stock, sorry, and then put a single quote and close it. I will just copy this one for your reference, and I'm going to take it to the notepad over here, and let me paste it. So this is what I've done it. So what is this statement all about? If it is not visible to you, so I think it will go beyond the screen. Okay, so what does this statement say? So this statement says if, so don't worry about the table name, if this condition is true, so if the closing stock is less than 100, then put it as a reorder level. Otherwise, if this condition is not true, then show enough stock. Remember, so I have typed double if over here. If if after condition I have a comma, then I have typed the reorder level inside a single quote. Okay, this is the text that I've typed. Okay, let me do it one more time. So this is the text. The text I have typed it in the single quote. So you notice over here, and after that I have put a comma here. So look at here. So this comma is a separator. For here also you have a comma. Then whatever text that I am typing, the short text that I am typing, I am placing that short text inside a single quote. So look at that, inside single quote, inside single quote, and inside single quote. So remember that the text has to be inside single quote. They have to be delimited by a comma, and finally don't forget to close the bracket. So this is the opening bracket, and the closing and opening brackets are there. So this is what you are supposed to do it. With that done, you've done it. Let me run this query. When I click on run, I'm going to get a warning message saying that I'm going to update the 5 records. I'm going to say yes, the 5 records are updated. If I go to the inventory table, what I'm going to notice is if the stock is less than 90, I'll get a reorder level. If you want, you can slightly extended like your Microsoft Excel, you can do it. So if it is 100, enough stock. If it is greater than 100, also enough stock, and less than means a reorder level. This is what you are supposed to do it. Let me go to the question over here. That's the end. You don't have any other question. With that, I will conclude this video. Thank you for your interest.